It started with the kind of tenderness that only first love knows. Daniel met Maya during their first year at university. He was quiet, always buried in books, while she had a calm confidence that drew people in without trying. They crossed paths during a group project in psychology class, awkward at first, but something about their conversations stuck. He found himself looking forward to those moments, the small talks before lectures, the way her eyes lingered a little longer than necessary, the way her laugh would escape at the smallest joke he made. Soon, they were walking home together after class. What began as shared academic responsibility turned into slow walks under trees heavy with spring leaves. They talked about childhood, dreams, the future. Daniel told her he wanted to be a writer someday. She said she just wanted a life that felt real. Their bond deepened not through grand gestures, but in the quiet comfort of shared silence. One day, as they sat under the library steps watching rain, she reached over and held his hand without a word. It was simple. It was everything. They spent weekends watching old films on a laptop, stealing glances instead of popcorn. He'd write poems and leave them folded in her bag. She'd draw tiny hearts on his notebook margins. They weren't loud about their love. They didn't post it online. But in their world, it felt as if nothing could touch them. On her birthday, he gave her a silver chain with a pendant shaped like a paper plane, something she had once said symbolized her love for freedom and fleeting moments. She wore it every day. He remembered the late-night walks where they shared a single earbud, letting their playlist drift between them. The way she would hum along, off-key and unashamed, and how he never told her he noticed because he liked it that way. They made plans of moving to a new city after graduation, of renting a small apartment, maybe getting a cat, maybe not. She wanted a balcony, he wanted a typewriter. They laughed at how old-fashioned he was. There were quiet moments of vulnerability. She once cried when talking about her father who left when she was 10. He told her about the anxiety attacks he never mentioned to anyone. They didn't promise each other forever, but in every way that mattered, they believed they were each other's safest place. Looking back, Daniel would always say those early days were real. No masks, no pretending. Just two people learning each other, slowly, carefully. The kind of love that feels like home, not built on intensity, but on the gentleness of being understood. And in those moments, even if they didn't know it yet, something sacred was being written into their lives. Things began to shift in ways Daniel couldn't quite explain. It wasn't one moment, but a slow unraveling that made him feel like he was watching something precious slip through his fingers. Maya started replying to messages later than usual. Their evening calls became shorter. The easy laughter that once filled the gaps between words now felt forced, as if she was somewhere else entirely. She said she was busy with assignments, overwhelmed with work. He believed her at first. Everyone got busy sometimes. But something had changed. When they met, her eyes didn't light up the same way. Her hugs felt hurried. She started canceling plans, first with apologies, then without any. When they did see each other, her attention seemed divided. She checked her phone often. She smiled at messages he never saw. It wasn't jealousy, not at first. It was confusion, then quiet concern. Daniel noticed she had grown closer to Liam, someone from her literature class. He remembered the name vaguely, a guy she had mentioned once or twice in passing. At first, he didn't think anything of it. They were in the same group project, that's all. But soon, Daniel saw their names appear together in social media posts from group outings he hadn't been invited to. Maya brushed it off. "It's just uni stuff," she said. "Nothing serious." But the excuses piled up. One evening, Daniel surprised her outside her apartment with her favorite takeout. She looked startled instead of happy. She let him in, but the warmth was missing. They ate in near silence. When he tried to hold her hand, she hesitated before intertwining her fingers with his. He didn't say anything, but his chest tightened with a fear he didn't want to name. He started questioning himself. Maybe he was being insecure. Maybe she just needed space. So he pulled back, hoping that giving her room would bring her closer again. It didn't. The distance only grew. Her messages became shorter, her voice lost its softness. He noticed she had stopped wearing the pendant he gave her. When he asked, she shrugged and said she forgot. Doubt crept in. It clung to him in quiet moments, gnawed at him during sleepless nights. He replayed conversations, tried to read between the lines. He told himself not to jump to conclusions. He didn't want to be that guy. But everything in his gut told him something was breaking. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the subtle, silent way that hurts more because it's harder to prove. And still, he hoped. Because love, once rooted deep, doesn't let go easily. He waited for her to come back, to explain, to reach out. But the calls stopped. The messages dried up. And every day, Daniel felt a little more like a stranger in the story they had written together. The truth came quietly, almost too quietly for something that would change everything. Daniel found out not through confrontation, but through a friend who didn't know he didn't already know. A casual mention. A slip. I saw Maya and Liam at that rooftop place again, they looked good together. The words hit like a punch, but Daniel didn't react. He just nodded, pretending he already knew. Inside, something snapped. That night, he sat alone, staring at their old messages. He scrolled until his fingers hurt. The softness in her words had vanished long before he noticed. The signs had been there, hidden between the lines. All the reassurances, all the promises, they felt hollow now, echoes of someone she no longer was. He finally asked her, directly. No accusations, just the question that had haunted him for weeks. Is there someone else? Her reply came after a long pause. I didn't mean for it to happen. That was it. No denial. No apology that felt real. Just a truth she had already accepted for herself. Daniel didn't scream. He didn't beg. He felt numb. The kind of numbness that comes when you realize the person you loved had already left you long before they admitted it. She said it wasn't serious, that it was confusing, that she still cared about him. But the words felt crueler than silence. Caring wasn't the same as loving. And loving wasn't supposed to look like this. He asked when it started. She didn't answer. She just said, I didn't want to hurt you. But she had. Not by choosing someone else, but by pretending nothing was wrong while she slipped further away. The betrayal wasn't just in her actions, it was in the lies she told by omission. The moments she smiled while hiding the truth. The way she let him love her while her heart was drifting elsewhere. In the days that followed, Daniel shut everything out. He avoided places they'd been together. Deleted their photos. Left their shared playlists untouched, unable to hear the songs without breaking. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep properly. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was disorientation. A life he thought he understood had collapsed. He doubted his memories, questioned every kind gesture, every kiss, every whispered promise. Had any of it been real? People told him to move on. To be angry. But he wasn't angry, not yet. He was empty. As if something sacred had been stolen from him and replaced with silence. He tried writing again, but the words didn't come. He stared at blank pages, hoping pain would shape itself into sentences. But all he felt was the echo of a love that had died long before he was ready to let go. Time moved, slowly at first, like walking through fog. The pain didn't vanish, it just dulled, fading into the background of Daniel's days. There were no dramatic breakthroughs, no sudden moments of clarity. Healing came in fragments. He began waking up without the immediate weight in his chest. He started eating again, not because he felt like it, but because his body needed it. Eventually, it became routine. He didn't block her. He didn't reach out either. They became ghosts in each other's lives. Mutual friends avoided the topic. No one wanted to say the wrong thing. So he said nothing. Instead, he turned inward. He reread old journals, not to revisit pain, but to understand how he had changed. He realized he'd forgotten parts of himself in that relationship, little things, like how he used to walk just to think or how he once loved cooking alone. He began doing those things again. His writing returned, slowly. It wasn't romantic or poetic. It was raw. Honest. For the first time, he didn't write to impress anyone. He wrote for himself. Not about her, but about himself, his confusion, his questions, his growth. It wasn't pretty. But it was real. And in that truth, he found a kind of peace. People noticed. His eyes, once sunken with sadness, started to look clearer. His voice steadied. He laughed again, not often, but when he did, it didn't sound forced. He found comfort in solitude. He no longer needed to be understood by someone else to feel whole. He stopped romanticizing what they had. Yes, it was beautiful in the beginning. Yes, it hurt when it ended. But not all beautiful things are meant to last. Some are meant to teach. Maya never reached out again. And he stopped waiting. He no longer needed closure from her, because he had found it in himself. The betrayal had left a scar, but it didn't define him. It became part of his story, not the whole thing. He forgave, not for her, but so he could move forward without dragging the past behind him. He started seeing people differently, not as potential partners, but as people, flawed, real, temporary or lasting. He let conversations unfold without expectation. He didn't rush. He was in no hurry to love again, but he wasn't afraid of it either. For now, being okay was enough. One day, without realizing it, he thought about her and didn't flinch. There was no ache, no longing. Just a quiet acknowledgement of what had been, and what had been lost. And in that moment, Daniel understood something simple yet profound. Survival is not just about enduring the pain. It's about choosing to live beyond it.